Sheila Finkelstein today will be talking about how to access to emotional release and healing through writing and your camera. She's in room 35 from 1:30 to 9 o'clock. You can visit her anytime throughout the day. She has a whole bunch of ebooks that she's happy to gift you. She has a raffle today as well. The books she has is Writing for Emotional Release, also Emotional Release, Life-Changing Circumstances, Leaving a Legacy, and Reflections, Photos and Queries Using Photography for Breakthrough Shifts and Seeing Communication and Being. Her gift today is a 1-hour coaching on getting unstuck, using creativity to shift perspective and solve your problems, valued at $150. You can find her in room 35. She's a life and relationship coach, author, photographer, artist, creative discovery, perspective, shifting photography through writing, and technology and communication. She's sometimes referred to as the Lens for Life Discoverer, and she authored 3 books. She's been in business on the internet for several years, supporting seniors in treasuring their life now, using photography and writing and other forms of artistic self-expression to help themselves grow, build their confidence in themselves and their business, and to help them better their communication, and to help you have loving, fulfilling, and successful relationships with yourself and others. That was a mouthful. I need water now. So Sheila, you have the floor for the next 25 minutes and helping people shift their perspective using technology or using creativity, using writing, and using your camera, whatever you want to do for the next 25 minutes. Welcome, Sheila.
Okay, sleep. Thanks, Sheri. Thanks for going through all that. And you saved me from having to introduce myself. One last thing that I will be adding is just so people know, in terms of coaching or my coaching, I often hear within between the lines, so to speak, what you're not hearing and seeing. And I help you uncover and discover your uniqueness, your power, strengths, and creativity. So in today, some of that will happen, I expect, for you. First of all, I'm going to clear the air first. Most of us probably go around with fear of being judged and all the rest of that. So I have this whole thing that I should have a PowerPoint presentation done and all the rest of that. And I don't. And I'm going to let it go, and you can judge me how you will. Today, and I see one of my friends smiling, thank you all for being here, and thanks some of my friends and relatives who have come in to join me and support me. I'm going to, what I'm going to be doing is I actually sharing, showing some photos and writing I've done over the years, usually speak about you. When I'm working with one-on-one, I'm not sitting talking about me. When I'm in a class, conducting a class, it's not about me. It's about getting you to see something. I don't have any expectations of what I want you to see. It's mainly letting your inner self come out and flow through. And you can do that through writing and through photography. Those that know me often hear me talk about eye catchers with the camera, and I'll explain that later. And I'm also going to say ear catchers. So in ear catchers, and I'm going to ask you first to, most of us have things going around in your head. If you have writing paper, pen, have that in front of you. If not, if you're on a Zoom full screen, you might want to minimize your screen, just double click on the screen and type on your Word documents or something. And what I'd like you to do, if there's any particular thought that's running around in your head right now, or has been running around and kind of keeps after you, just write it down. You may write on it later, you might not. During the course of what I'm presenting, what I'll be sharing about experiences that in my life that led to some powerful writing, it might bring up something for you. We're not looking for judgment. If something is triggered for you, write that down. At the end, we won't have a lot of time, but I'm going to give 1 or 2 minutes for you to do free flow writing. Now, there are several types of writing. A lot of you may journal, specifically journaling on a specific topic. I've been doing my form of journaling as morning pages. A lot of you may be familiar with it, by Julia Cameron, and she the book The Artist's Way and several other books. And she advocates doing 3 pages in the morning of free flow writing. I have a composition book, the 8.5 by 11. When school starts in the past, they always have these notebooks on sale, and I just write the 3 pages. There's no right or wrong. You put it aside. Oftentimes, things, to-dos will come up. You're not even supposed to be reading it or going back to it. To-dos will come up for me, and I'll keep a separate list so that they free those thoughts up. But that's free flow writing that I've been familiar with for years. And then I did some courses with Julie Jordan Scott and really got tuned into prompts. And what happens in free flow prompts, usually timed, and I'm writing groups now will be timed, will give prompts and time things. And I'm suggesting that those things that are rattling around in your head can also be your own prompts. And in free flow writing, I set the timer for 5 minutes and I'll start writing on it. Sometimes it's complete. Sometimes there's more and I'll keep setting the timer again. And what's happening is I'm allowing myself the freedom to, whatever's inside, to come out. Now what's happened is, I never particularly thought of myself as a writer. And I went and discovered stuff I wrote with Julie 10, 15 years ago, and I was amazed. I wrote this. It didn't seem right, but it's all part of us. We all have an innate creativity, something inside that's willing to come out if we allow it the freedom to do that. And writing is one way that that can be done. So, and then photography is another. So be aware of that as I share some of the things. So you hear something hits a nerve when I'm talking, when I'm sharing, do that. And as I said, at the end, what we're going to do is I'm going to give, depending on the time, 1 or 2 minutes for you to just time it, for you to write something or take a picture, take some pictures. And I'll go, well, let me explain the eye catchers now. The free flow writing, and particularly haiku, is a way of breaking and shifting. Free flow writing, when I'm talking about the time writing, it's sitting down. Now, my late husband had Parkinson's, and I used to go through a lot of anger at the situation, what was happening. And in one of the programs, I never knew about haiku. Haiku is 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables. And I found that something could start in my head. And then I'll share some stuff. And something's in my head now. Something is in my head now. I don't know, that might be 7 syllables. I might then go back and come up with a 5-syllable thing, and then a 7-syllable thing. In the process of doing that, I've shifted. And I'm going to share some of that. I'm going to screen share and show some writing. Again, shifting our emotional state. When we go battered around, and I remember a cousin of mine is one here, I tell this story often. I was walking on a boardwalk and I was nagging and complaining and whining, and I don't usually do that. And I finished, and of course I didn't feel any better. How often do you feel better when you keep whining out the negative? So I remember, this was before my iPhone, I had my camera on my bag on my shoulder. And I said, Sheila, you tell people 5 pictures, 5 eye catchers in the shift. So I took out the camera and I took 5 pictures and got involved in that. And that shift put me in a totally different place. So originally I had 2 bonuses I was going to give anybody who comes into my room. And if you put in the chat privately to me here and you're interested, you give me your email address or email me at sheila@treasurerlifenow.com. I will be glad to give that, to anybody who's in this room also now. So, okay, I just want to figure it in the notes. Okay, so those things that happen suddenly, get so angry. I'm sure some of you have had that, maybe not quite as whatever. I was teaching. I was an art teacher for 5-7 years, actually. And I was leaving, in one school I shared with school supply closet. And I did all kinds of things. So there was cardboard and collections and everything else in there. And I made a comment to the principal on the way out, which is also a reminder, make sure when you say something, there's a point to it. But I said something about my closet, and she said a bomb could go off in your closet, and nobody would be any the worse for it. I was furious. So I went to every red light. I was on my way to graduate class, and on my way to the, at every red light, I started writing. And what I wrote at the time, what wound up was an ode to a piece. What's a piece of cardboard? It's the base of a sculpture, part of one, support for an assemblage, et cetera, et cetera. And what it came down to at the end was went into a whole thing about what you do with it is all up to you. And it's up to you. What's a feather, a piece of cloth, a strange shape, a can of nails, a box of scrap wood? That's up to you, my dear friend. Up to you to collage your life, a rich and vibrant one. Now what happened, I left that on her desk. Never said another word the next morning. She never said anything. But the aim in there too is in that process of writing. Now, if I sat down to write that never would have come out. I wouldn't know, I just didn't know what was there. But it also gave me who I am. Also in writing and photographs, I'm going to be doing some screen sharing now. Okay, here we go. I sometimes take, now eye catchers, I say anything that catches your eye, take a picture. And that's a shift also. So if you're walking and thinking, and I mentioned I taking a picture. So here, this was a sad or growling, scowling onion. What I ended up doing, sometimes I've gotten breakthroughs by personifying. So I had the onions, and I'll give links to these specific pages in the handout that you can have. And I was talking about the stories it makes up, and it's talking to me. And again, I found something about myself at the end. And it wound up that one, and I have so much to offer. And of course, it's shared. Does that bring me back to your notes? Okay, the time is going faster than I thought. I want to, there's the haiku for healing, that one was the personification, okay, let me just, that one personified, that was a light. And one of the links I'll be giving you is this: expand your vision when stuck, using your camera and writing to open yourself up to seeing new ways, seeing opportunities, seeing yourself in your world with new eyes, which is one of the things I'm about. And that happened to be a light, something up in the light post in the walk outside in the parking lot. And I was showing it to people, and they weren't interested. They didn't see it. But that to me was a waving character. And so I started writing. It was welcoming me. And well, anyway, that again is something that you'll see. And I had a whole new opening out of that. That was the lamp that went. Okay, the OC piece of cardboard. This was that one. I went through the principle and the ode to the cardboard. Now, when I went back to school, originally I was a sociology major, and I went back to school to get my degree in fine arts education. The first course I had in painting and drawing, the instructor had just retired, and first she criticized me, and I'm sure you've had instructors that have criticized you and probably maybe have set you back totally. So I didn't know how to construct if there wasn't constructive doodling. And she told me, resume share, sorry about that. That was the onion if you didn't see it. And now I was on the, okay. So, and then she told me to drop out of school and to join a local guild to satisfy my housewifely ambition. And she said, my art had no emotion. And I said, what do you mean it doesn't have emotion? And I used to write letters. I'd say I'm an artist, but my words come to me when I'm upset. And I used to write letters to the editor, and this was a school board. And I wrote, he was writing empty phrases into the burning cauldron of hostility. And I went home and I did this montage. It was only years later that I realized that it wasn't, the emotion was in the words. This picture was really an illustration of that. But any of the writing and anything we keep and look at is an opportunity to discover more about ourselves in the future. Okay, I wanted to share what it's done for, that wasn't the one. I did a thing, now I've written Had It Easy, Picture the Ponder for 15 years, I think. And one of the pictures I had seen was a cage sunset. I'm sorry, these are out of sequence. All right, let me go into explain this because I think the haiku is important. This, I have one of the other bonuses, tips for writing when angry. Now, this and the tips for writing when angry, it's like if you want to communicate with someone, I have tips for that. But I happen to do in haiku, harsh and brittle words destroy, do not move forward, breathe deep, love clears all. And if you count on your fingers, you'll see it 5, 7, 5. And so I just wanted you to see that and was able to use it as a cover. In the middle of the night, again, this is personal, I couldn't sleep. Oh, that wasn't the one. Okay, I was having trouble sleeping. And so I wrote, again, started syllables, and then I wrote hours later, this is about 6 months after my husband died. Haiku wipes the tears, middle of the night success, sadness, lonely, guilty, bright. So then I said, well, I'll take my own advice, and I started writing. Try some haiku now, instant gratification, 7 syllables. And each of the things went on. It was like a story. Life has no purpose at this point in my lifetime, empty, void of love. And I finished with empty words they are. Where is the passion? Each of the things, but I was able in the counting and the expression to release it. And finished with empty words they are. No one's there to receive them. Feeling all washed out. But that feeling was just to be open, to be washed out. The other main thing, because I can't believe, that's why one should practice. I will never make it would be a lot for TED Talk. Okay, there's Cage Sunset that I'm looking for. And I had taken a beautiful picture of a sunset, and I wrote about it being caged, and that's in one of the...
we can't see anything other than an onion.
It's still on that. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing now. I don't know why.
We've been looking at an onion for a long time.
Oh, golly. Okay.
Yeah.
That actually should have been put in a PowerPoint presentation or something. So I apologize for not doing that. I hope you are getting value. Each of what I've said is in there. This cage sunset is a beautiful picture. And I wrote it into the thing, and I thought, well, how can can the sun be in a cage? It's hot, it's warm. And then I found another picture there through reeds. And I got something from a reply from a reader who said she never have taken a picture of the sunset like that. But then as she thought about it and thought about what she wrote, she recalled, it reminded her she was upset because her son was in jail. And he was an addict and all the negative things and problems about it. And, but looking at that and then doing her own writing and releasing gave, I know what else I thought it did, that she realized that there was a whole part of him, the good and beautiful, that would never be lost. And this was probably something to help that. So she allowed herself to experience, so that photo became her eye catcher. In terms of Haiku, I didn't realize I'd be talking so much about haiku, but it's a quick and easy answer. And then, as I said, there's a 5-minute free flow rating. I was doing a presentation being interviewed when using haiku with caregivers, and the professional that was interviewing me wanted to understand it. So the night before he was going to interview me, he decided to test it out on his son who just turned 8. Now his son was complaining, he was putting him to bed, and his son told him it was cold and he couldn't go to sleep and blah, blah, blah. So Brady is the son. He decided to tell him about haiku. And they ended up, he said, within 5 minutes writing, Brady declared, cold bed freezes toes, heart racing, warming my nose, tucked in tight, good night. And what his father said is he noticed that he was writing, his son was writing, he got to share and express his emotion. It was also a form of bonding. And that's why sharing writing, sharing our photos when there is no right or wrong is an added safe way of bonding with people important to you. And then he said he took a situation that wasn't good, he wasn't happy about, his little 8-year-old body and brain, and he was able to all of a sudden transform it into a piece of art and use that artful expression to calm himself down. Okay, I have 4 minutes left. I can't believe it. So if instead of 2 minutes, 1 minute, if there is something that you've written down, I'm just going to take 1 minute and time it. Everybody be quiet because I'm the only one. And just write, count if you want to do haiku or anything that you might want to do in 1 minute. Okay, start.
So for anybody coming in, Sheila is doing an experience. People are writing down something. Coming up next, we have the Urban Shaman. I'm really excited. Got Jill Rappaport coming up next. Going to be doing a shamanic sound healing ceremony.
Okay, and Sheri came in just at 1 minute. So if anyone has anything you wrote that you wanted to share, here, type it in the chat. There's not time to read it. You can come in my room 35, ask the Zoom engineer to put you in my room. We can share it there. You can book a thing. You can write in the chat to me privately to me or send me your link to Treasure Your Life Now. What in the bonus will be reflections, photos, and queries using photography for breakthrough shifts in seeing, communicating, and
I'm sorry, we can't hear you with the alarm going off.
Oh, I turned it off. Come on, up. So the reflections, photos, and queries using photography for breakthrough shifts in seeing, communicating, and being, writing to release emotions, changing circumstances, leaving a legacy, haiku for healing, tips for writing when angry, and expand your vision when stuck. And then I'll give you on that page with the actual links to that to download. Some other links to blog posts and specific posts I was talking about. Okay, that's it. And my bonus is on hours coaching, as Sheri said. You can bring a problem, whatever you want, and find the creative path Solutions, and it's worth $200.
So you're gonna tell them to write down a number in the chat, and you're gonna give away your raffle now.
Right, and I'm going to give you the number in private chat, Sheri. So.
No, we do it together. You're gonna write down a number and gonna hold it up, and they're gonna write it down.
It's written down.
Okay, everybody write in the chat. If you want to win a session with Sheila, put down a number in the chat room, please. Okay, we got some numbers coming in. Here we go. She's got a lot to offer. A lot of years of wisdom. Here we go. Got some numbers coming in. She's great with technology too. That's how we met.
Yeah, if you want to use it for technology, in Zoom, that's fine.
Yeah. Her time is her time. Okay, so you wrote down your number. Hold your number up, Sheila.
I think it's going to be backwards because I mirrored it the other way. I didn't mirror the setting. It's 77.
It's still the same. Forward or backwards? It's still the same, forward and backwards. Even if maybe turn it upside down, that's the only way it'll be backwards at this point. There we go. Those are two L's. So we got 77, and the highest number we have is 34. 34, we got Christina Estipa.
Okay, Christina, after you give me your email or email me at treasureyourlifenow.com, Sheila at treasureyourlifenow.com, or put your email here, and I will privately to me, and I will send you a link to for time. Thank you all for joining me and for giving me the opportunity to express myself in this way and say I'm okay. I would like to know in the chat if you've got any revelations. You don't have to say what they are, but did something new show up for you? If you want to private chat that to me or public, I would appreciate that.
Thank you, Sheila. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.